I'm joined tonight on stage with my formation group. So can you guys give it up for them? Come on. Hey, this is what I know. We don't want to be a church, and I don't want to be a type of youth pastor who's not going to live out the Bible and the teachings that we teach here. So tonight is going to be awesome. Buckle up. I have no idea what's about to happen. And so, man, I'm joined here by my group, and I've been a part of this group for a little bit over 10 months. And so it has completely changed my life. And this is what I know. Can I share a quick statistic with you guys? So 65% of you guys typically over the past 25 years after you graduate for a minimum of a year completely disassociate with the church and with your faith. 65%. All right? And that has not changed in over 25 years, okay? And so I want you to know, and here's the reason why. It has nothing to do with where you go to college or all of those things. It has everything to do with your community after you leave here. And so our conversations over the past several weeks have been incredible. Our series On the Table and trying to find and form Jesus-centered community. And so tonight, like I said, we're joined with my group, and we're just going to share a little bit about some real practical things that we've been talking about over the past few weeks. Because last week, remember, we talked about, hey, it can be hard, right? Our scripture was, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens another friend, if you guys were here for that. And we talked a lot about, over the past few weeks, about how forming Jesus-centered community can take time, and it can be difficult. We also talked about how people can betray you, can hurt you, but that's no reason for us to give up on community, right? And so tonight, man, to my left, to your right, for my Franklin people, this is Brandon Gilman. Shout out to my Franklin Simpson people. Brandon Gilman and Tyler Petty. And so just take a minute, guys. Maybe just introduce yourself for real. Your real name, and share a little bit about how old you are and maybe the season of life you're in. Yeah, tell them how old you are, bro. What are you, about 65 nowadays? I'm just kidding. This is the roast section. Anyway, Brandon Petty, everyone.
Hey. Yeah, Brandon Petty.
He didn't share his age, did he?
I think he's like 50 years old, so I'll go ahead and share his age, 6 or 7. My name is Isaac West, and I'm 21 years old.
Josh Braden, I'm 40.
Woo!
I'm Michael Britton. I am 36.
Woo!
Brian Boyne, and I am 41.
Let's go.
My name is Kyle Medina, and I am 38.
38. Let's go. Hey, who's all going to BOTS this year? So, Mr. Brian is going to be speaking at BOTS for the first time this year, so I hope you guys are excited for that. I promised you there was a rhyme or reason why. I hope you guys pointed out that not all of us are the same age. Some of us are married, some of us aren't married, some of us have kids, some of us don't have kids. And so what's really cool about our group, there's different people involved in different seasons of life that we all get to learn from each other, okay? So that's an important piece because we've talked about that because oftentimes we form community, right, with just people who look like us, talk like us, act like us, the same age as us. And so what's cool about, I know I'm not the youngest one in the group, but I'm not the oldest one in the group. And so I can still be immature with some of the young ones, and then I can still learn from the older ones, right? And so I'm kind of in the middle. So it's really, really fun. It's a good time. It's a real good time. And so my group meets, we talked about this last week, every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. And so we do, man, a lot of things. We first and foremost, man, we have a meal with one another. We pray with one another for about the first hour, and then the second hour, sometimes we do what's called a Hear Journal. We've gone through the book of Galatians this year. Right now, we've been doing some of the practices. We went through the community practice with one another, and right now we're in the practice of generosity. So there's always great discussion on the practices of Jesus. And so, but tonight, I just want to lean in because I think it could be very easy for you guys to just assume, well, it's like, it's easy for you, Tyler, to form community. You know, you're on staff at the church, and and you get to hear firsthand from Pastor Brandon about all these things. But I just want you guys, it hasn't always been easy for me, okay? This group is the longest that I've ever been in a group before, okay? And so I don't want to personally get too involved with my story, but I want you guys to hear from our lead pastor. If you never met Pastor Brandon, he is the lead pastor of our church. If you come here on Sundays, man, he always preaches an incredible word. So I encourage you to come on the weekends as well to hear from our lead pastor. But for those of you who don't, you're going to hear a little bit tonight about his story. Because again, I think it could be very easy for you all to just assume that, well, you're the pastor of the church. And it's really easy for you to form community. But what you guys might not know about Pastor Brandon, and I'm going to have him share a little bit about this, that Pastor Brandon was actually encouraged when he started this church 14 years ago. Hey, don't get close with people in your church. They're going to hurt you. They're going to stab you in the back. That's what he was encouraged to do. Now, obviously, he didn't take that advice. But man, Pastor B, would you just kind of share about that experience and how that shaped you, how that formed you? And obviously, you didn't take that advice, but what did that do early on in the church for you in community?
Yeah, I think I was in student ministry for almost 15 years. And I think in that time period, being a youth pastor, both pastors that I served under didn't have a lot of community. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I don't want to, because the pastor that I served under, it seemed like he was always just a lone ranger. He was always seemed like he was just angry. He didn't trust people because of stuff that had happened to him in his past. There had been people in the church that had hurt him. There had been relationships that were broken. And I just remember thinking to myself, I didn't want that. And so when we stepped out of youth pastoring to begin to the process to start this church, another pastor told me, he was like, whatever you do, don't make close friends with people in the church. He said, because they will only hurt you. And I just remember thinking, to me, that's a sad life. I remember the quote that was given to me is, leadership is always lonely at the top. And I just want you to know that if you believe that, that means you've allowed your gift to outclimb your character. Because somehow we think that maybe even as being a pastor or whatever, that because you have influence or because you have a role, that somehow that elevates you above other people, and it doesn't. That's why Jesus said to get low. And so I think when you humble yourself before God and you actually put yourself in a vulnerable position to build community, I would tell you, like, this church, you guys, these guys are here. A lot of times you're only going to do about 50% of what I do. And so just think, like, if I told you guys should get in community, but I'm not going to do it. You guys should read your Bible, but I'm not going to do it. You guys should pray, but I'm not going to do it. Anything that I would ever preach from this stage or teach from this stage, man, I've tasted the goodness first. And so if I'm not giving 100%, then I'm not even going to be able to reach 50% of the people who are here that are listening and going, man, I want what you're telling me that I should have. And so I just want you to know too that over the years, that took time. It took time. There were people that 14 years ago when we started the church, we were super close with, that we're not as close with today. Sometimes friends are for seasons. Like, sometimes God places people in your life for a season. And there are times that as you grow and you mature and you get in different seasons of life, that God will bring other relationships into your life. I think that for some of you that are here and you're like, man, like, people have hurt me, whatever, so I don't trust them. And here's what I would say. Like, if your immediate reaction at 15, 16, 17 years old is to run away from any kind of community just because somebody betrayed your trust at your stage of life, I just want to remind you, if that is your knee-jerk reaction, that means your emotional maturity isn't much different than theirs. And so the very thing that you're blaming them for, you're just as emotionally immature to say, well, I'm never going to do that again. That's what a child says. But somebody who matures understands, I already know, because Colossians 3 tells me to make an allowance for other people's faults. In other words, I have to make space in my life for people to fail me. Yeah. We talk a lot about Christianity is centered around this idea of forgiveness. And we talk about mercy, grace, forgiveness, but nobody ever wants to practice those things. And the only way you practice forgiveness, mercy, and grace is to actually have opportunities to rep that out in your life. And the only way you rep that out in your life is that when somebody hurts you, when somebody betrays you. Jesus knew Judas was going to betray him all along. And yet he stayed true to his mission. Because I want to tell you, if you allow anybody to take you off of the mission that God has for your life, I don't blame them. I blame you for believing a lie.
Come on, man.
And so for me, over the years, I've had to navigate through that. I've had to navigate who wanted to be my friend just because I had a title or a role or because I had influence. Because there were people who wanted to be my friend just for that purpose. They didn't care about the mission or vision of the church. They just wanted to be able to say, man, I'm your friend. And so that's hard over the years to know, do people care about me? Do they love me? Do they love my family? Do they care about my growth in Christ? Or do they only care about what they can get from me? I want you to know that is a normal part of life. Yeah. But I have to continue to put myself in vulnerable positions to allow myself sometimes to be wounded so that I can find the right people that I can heal with and actually do life with. And so I didn't take that advice, but it did cost me relationships over the years. But I'm here today telling you that because of all of that pain in the past, I have now found a community that I've been looking for the last 15 years. And so I would just tell you, that's part of my journey, and it's going to be part of your journey too, especially as young as you are. You're never going to find perfect people to do life with. But if you're looking for perfect people to do life with, then you might as well not be around either because you ain't perfect either.
Ooh.
So
that's so good. Hey, thank you. That's so good. Kyle, question for you, man. I would love for you to share a little bit about your story. You and your family, you came, it was Easter of 2022. And if you would, man, just take a few minutes, maybe talk about your experience with community prior to coming here in 2022, and then maybe share some things after that, after you heard the teachings from Pastor Brandon, you started putting some of these things into practice, and then how it has shaped you, informed you, and healed you.
Yeah, man. So I was born in 1987. I know. My mom that same year had stepped onto staff at a church, so I was literally born into the church. My parents did a really good job of showing us community. They had a real community in that church. When I was 8 years old, the church split, meaning part of the church went this way and the other part of the church went that way. In that process, the group and the community we had formed stayed, and we left. So even at 8 years old, I didn't realize it until coming to Generation and experiencing community again. I was hurt by people at a young age. So we still went to church. I went to church every single Sunday that I can remember until I was 19. And once my mom gave me the okay to make that decision myself, I decided that I was no longer going to go to church. So I started creating community with people I went to high school with, people I was in college with, whoever wanted to party, whoever wanted to go to football games. And that's sort of what my community looked like for over a decade. When in 2022, my wife told me that her and my two sons and her mom were going to go to church, and I had the choice, once again, if I was going to go or not. So I showed up, and I haven't left since. In that, pretty immediately, I came in April of 22. In July of that same year, I stepped into men's community on Monday nights here, and I met Jody Brown, I met Brian Boyne, I met Michael Britton, and some of these guys that I started to just be around, not really knowing that I was forming community, but I knew they had something that I wanted a piece of. And not long after that, our church started D groups at the time, which we now know as formation groups, and Pastor Brandon asked me to be a part of it. And I'll be honest, in my brain, in my flesh, told me, don't do that, for the same reasons that Pastor Brandon just shared of how long will that last? Are they going to hurt me? Is this something I really want to volunteer for? But I said yes and committed. And at the beginning, we were meeting at 5:30 just to be able to meet. It was important enough to us.
a.m. That's 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
Yeah, there's
in
two.
the
There's
morning.
two 5
Sorry,
o'clocks,
y'all.
in case y'all didn't know.
5 a.m. in the morning on Saturdays, and all of us work. But we wanted community, and really deep inside myself, it was something I'd been looking for a long time in all the wrong places. And I'd say some of you are probably in that same thing. You're looking for what friend group you fit in with. You're looking for people who like the same things as you, that type of stuff. But I would debate with you that what you're really looking for is what we found that you see sitting here. Because this is just like true brotherhood. What I found was that I could share the deepest, darkest parts of myself. They didn't judge me. And it was almost immediate. They would pray for me. I could cry in front of these guys, and that was okay. And really just anything, like true community. We get together with our families, and all I knew beforehand was like get together with people, drink beer, like do those type of things in my life, if I'm being honest with y'all. And I thought that was community and fun. But the moment I gave my life to Christ, those people I was hanging out with were nowhere to be found. They really weren't and still aren't. But these guys haven't left my side. I joined Brandon's group in the end of 22, early 23. So we've been doing this for a while, for years at this point. And they've heard it all. I mean, I've told them everything you could imagine. And they still love me. They still care about me. So yeah, it's been incredible.
That's really good. Yeah, we go, Kyle. So one thing I love about Kyle, and he shared a lot of it, was like this is a space where he can share everything. And one thing that I love about Kyle is like, could you maybe talk about? I mean, you're new to the church, and like the lead pastor has asked you to be a part of his group. Did that ever make you feel like, man, I don't know if I could share this? Did that ever make you feel that type of way?
Definitely. Like growing up in the church with my mom on staff there, I say we, I'm talking about myself. I would always sort of had the pastor of the church up on a pedestal. Like, you don't want them to see that part of you. You want to come off as clean and a good person, all those things. So yeah, I definitely wrestled within myself of like, do I want him to really know who I am? Do I want him to know who I was before he met me? I had a good friend that was in our group too at the beginning, and it was really cool because he just sort of like shared everything, which sort of gave me the freedom to share everything. And the way Brandon has poured into me and prayed over me and my family is just unmatched. Like I don't really have the words for it.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And one thing that I don't want you guys to miss is what he just said about because of his friends' vulnerability, it gave Kyle like, oh, he did that, kind of gave him permission to like talk about things. And so what I want you guys, you never know, you might be just one person away from like your friend also experiencing wholeness and healing through confession. And so confession, it might not just be for you. It could also be for the people around you. And so your confession could give permission or somebody like, hey, they did that. It's okay for me to talk about that, And so don't be afraid to do that. And so, Kyle, thank you, bro, for sharing. That's so good. Next, I want to talk to Mr. Michael Britton. Michael, man, you are in a unique season of your life. Some of you might not know Michael. Michael has been a really good friend of mine over the past couple years. Michael has served this student ministry faithfully. But Michael, man, talk about maybe the season of life that you're in currently right now and how staying consistent and how community has helped you in your current season right now.
Yeah, going into this year, like I started traveling for my job. I mean, I've been in hotel rooms 160-something nights this year. And, that's a lonely place to be. And like Brian and I talked about it a lot, like throughout that season is like one of the loneliest places I've ever felt is like in a hotel room with nothing but my work. That's a lonely place. And one of the coolest things is, when I would come home, like I would talk to the guys. I would finally get to come to a Saturday morning get to hang out with them. But I would stay in communication with them the entire time I'm gone. It's not like I'm just completely unplugging. Now, it's different. It's tough because you don't have the face-to-face community anymore. But, I mean, almost, if not on a daily basis, at least every other day, someone's either calling me, texting me, asking how I'm doing, checking in, making sure that my mind's staying right, that I'm staying pure and staying connected like I'm supposed to be. And that was not only important, but absolutely vital to me being able to continue my formation journey while I'm away from my community. And, you know, that's just because you're not here doesn't mean that people aren't thinking of you, praying for you. And one of the things that I shared with the group is, you know, one of the struggles I had is I felt like they were all moving forward and I was just kind of frozen in time whenever I had to leave again. And like, that's not true. Like, I was still progressing forward. I was still learning things. One of the coolest things I learned during that season was that in that loneliness, like, God met me there. And like, I was still fulfilled. I was still uplifted. I was still energized by my community of men because I was allowing God to speak to me in those lonely places. So, yeah, man. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah, man, I think that's so good. Thank you so much for sharing. If you wouldn't mind, Michael, maybe because like through your journey of being away, you know, there's been times where you talked about how like, man, it's been awesome. I've been staying connected because we've talked over the past few weeks about how sometimes we can still feel lonely at times, even when we're around people. Or sometimes it's like, you know, do people care? I remember you sharing with me, there was a particular week when you were gone, when you were feeling lonely. And so just for like practical purposes, would you mind just kind of sharing about your headspace and because you were staying connected, because you had people reaching out to you, how through you doing that, how we as a community were able to help you through that?
Yeah, so my career, I climb roofs and write checks for a living. I work for an insurance company, so that's what I go and look at storm damage, assess that, and it is very tiring. I mean, there's some days I'm looking at 10, 12 houses, like climbing roofs. It's hot. It's, I mean, it's not the easiest thing because people get a little testy whenever you talk about money. So there was just one week where it was just, I mean, I was not doing okay. And Tyler and I have gotten to be really good friends over the last few years. And, you know, like he called me and I said, dude, like, I'm not doing okay. Like I was mad that I had to leave again. And, like something with that is having to shift your mindset. You can't, if you just sit there and think about, like Brandon said, like all the people that hurt you or the circumstances around you, and that's all you're thinking about, you're going to be miserable. You're going to see it through a negative lens. But this group has really challenged me to hey, like, okay, you can't change the circumstances right now, so what are you going to do in the moment? Why are you there? And really having to flip a switch and think, okay, this is a mission field. I can be a light to somebody that's having a really bad day. It's a mindset thing. It's where are you in that moment? Are you in the moment, or are you just in your head? Are you just constantly thinking about the negative parts of it, or are you taking the opportunity to actually like be the church when I'm not like in the church building? So really it's a mindset shift, and like being honest and open with these guys. Like I could share things with these guys that would make other people run away or blush and not like put walls up. But just being honest with these guys, hey, like I'm not okay. And one of the things Brian always asks me is, how are you being? Not how are you doing, how are you being? And because like I'm always like, a go, 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 if I'm not doing something, like when I stepped back from helping Tyler within the youth ministry, like I felt like I had no purpose in the ministry anymore. And Brian, man, this guy next to me is like such a godsend, so wise, so much wisdom, coming from a professional skateboarder. I'm so like so blessed by him. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's just like, maybe God isn't wanting you to do anything right now. Maybe he just wants you to be.
Yeah.
And like, that's the type of wisdom that you get like over 3 years of pouring your soul out to men. And so, yeah, man.
I think a couple of things you could take away from Michael. It's like, one, do you have people in your life to where you can call up and just unload of like, man, I'm upset. I'm kind of ticked off, And then secondly, do you have people in your life, those people who you do call of like, hey, let's talk you off a ledge real quick? Or do you have people in your life that say, you know what? Yeah, go chew your boss out. I know you've been gone, Michael. You go tell him. You go tell him, And so do you have people who can listen and give you good advice and not just brush you away? And so, Isaac, man, I want to talk to you next, bro, because how long have you been graduated now?
I graduated in 22, so this was my 3rd year.
3 years. I think that math's mathing.
I think that
and
math,
so,
yeah.
Man, so think back to 16, 17, 18-year-old Isaac. Let's say you were sitting over here today. How do you think that this would have landed on you as a teenager in high school?
Yeah. So honestly, in high school, I did not want to be anything close to the church. I was in it because my sisters did it, and I thought it was very cool. But I think it was cool, like you said, the 65% go away from the church and then come back. And with that, like I was that. I instantly left, but it was because I didn't pay attention to things like this,
Really good.
And I know like being a part of the group now, like I'm the youngest one in my group, and it's a blessing because these guys pour so much wisdom into me. And like some mornings just go and I'm like, I need wisdom. I don't even know what to do. So I think right now, like if I was to be sitting out there knowing what I know now, I would lean in. I would pay attention. And I would listen because there's so much wisdom on this stage that you could take from. So yeah.
No, that's good. I think what's really cool about tonight is like there's going to be some things that might not directly apply to you right now, but there's going to be some things that when you are our age and after you graduate, our prayer is like, man, I'll remember that night when they talked about this, and you know what? That makes sense. You know what? I didn't have a good community after I graduated, and I see myself being disconnected from the church, and so that's our heart and that's our prayer for you for tonight. So Isaac, maybe share a little bit about, so you graduated. Maybe share a little bit about after you graduated, and then when you came back to the church.
Yeah. So my community was not the community that I should have been hanging out with. We partied, and that's about all we did together. So when I first got out of high school, it was kind of the opportunity where no one was forcing me to come to church anymore. So I took that and ran. Every Sunday morning I was hungover. I wasn't coming to church because I was somewhere at some buddy's house, probably sleeping on their couch. And it led me far, far away, not down a good path. I went to lineman school, but then I didn't use it because I wanted to stay close to my friends so I could party with them. So then when life got real and I got out of high school and I had to start making adult decisions, I didn't really have a wise counsel around me. So I was pretty much a counsel by myself, trying to please myself and do whatever I could that would please me. In that moment, which often turns into failure. So I found myself not really speaking to my dad at the moment, losing my job, not really having anywhere to live, all because I was choosing partying, and my friends didn't care. It was more of, what are we going to do next Saturday? so then my sister was like, "Hey, let's go to church. Let's try it out." And I remember the first week I came back. It was the Sunday that we had all those baptisms, and the third experience. And like I just remember seeing, honestly, some of the high school boys, because I walked up to you and I was like, I want to be a part of this. But I saw high school boys coming up here and praying for each other. Like that is something that is so different that I don't have in my life. So then I came up to you and I was like, dude, I got to be a part of this. Like what do I need to do? And then ever since then, like me and you've gotten close, and then you started mentoring me, and then it led into seeking deeper community.
Yeah, man. Can y'all give it up for Isaac? This is so good. Nah, thank you so much, man. And you are wise, Isaac, and I appreciate you, man. There's a sign when you walk in that says "Welcome Home," and so it doesn't matter if you're here for the very first time. It doesn't matter if you were here for a little while and then stopped coming and then came back. Isaac is a great story of like, hey, you are always welcome home, and you are always welcome back home. You're never too far gone for God to meet you right where you are. Okay, so I want you to know that, and your group leaders in this church and our team, we will never, ever, ever make you feel any type of way. Say you do run after you graduate and you come back, man. We will always be here to love on you, encourage you, and to help get you into community who loves you and cares about your walk with Jesus, okay? And so, Mr. Josh, maybe share a little bit. You've been coming to our church for quite some time, so maybe just share a little bit about your journey with community. We've talked on several occasions here on Wednesday nights about, man, sometimes you have to try, and it's like, no, that's not it. Or so maybe just kind of share about how you got here, man.
Yeah, so my story's, I started out a lot like many of y'all, coming to youth when I was in high school. Not a church that my family went to, but just one that I went to, a lot like y'all. I would have considered myself probably popular. I was an athlete, so I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of people that I would have called friends at that time. I went off to college, did the fraternity thing, so had hundreds of friends, right? And there still wasn't. There was still something missing, and so you can be around people and still be lonely.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't really until my wife and I decided to move to Portland and get plugged into the Generation Church here that we really started seeing what community was like. I had no intention of joining community. Had no intention of a meeting community like this. My intention was to go to church so that I could be a good husband and a good father. And so God had much different plans. I think that a lot of times we can see the people in our lives and think that because we have people that those are people that God put there, and perhaps it's for a season, people to learn from. But it really wasn't until I started hanging with these group of people, my formation group, some of the other men in this church, that they really started calling out things in me, both good and bad. Having friendships, a lot of the friendships that I established from a young age, similar to y'all's, they're yes people. Who's going to say the things that lift me up, that make me feel good. And it wasn't really until I started with a real community and seeing what it built inside of me to have people call out the things that were hard and that were difficult. But those were also the things that made me stronger and made me a better husband, made me a better father and a better Christ follower. And so I would encourage you to, as you guys are coming up through high school and through college and, or whatever life looks like after school, really reflecting on people in your life. I think it can be easy to think because you have people that you're doing the things God called you to, but God will send specific people into your life to call things out, to become the best version of yourself. And so, this group, we've learned over the last, 3 years, it's not always, it doesn't always feel encouraging, but it always is encouraging. You know, a lot of times there's conversations that need to happen. We've had people that started out in this group that are no longer in this group because they, not because we kicked them out, but because they didn't see it the way that it's intended. And that's not to have people, you know, pounding their ego or lifting them up, but to truly be willing to open up, be willing to share, be willing to expose the hard things, and be willing to ask for help when you need it. I think a lot of times we see a lot of those things as weakness, but really I've learned, you know, through these guys, you know, I wouldn't look at any one of these men knowing everything I know about them, and I know that this is the strongest group of men that I've ever been around, and so that's what I would really encourage y'all is you know, be around people that are real and honest and transparent. And it's okay to have friends for a season, but know that God will send people at the right time and in the right season, just to encourage you, strengthen you, and build you up.
Yeah, that's so good. Y'all give it up for Josh. Mr. Brian. Brian, I've known Brian just for a little while. Brian serves a unique role in my life. He's not only has become a really good friend, man, we're in this group together, but Brian is also my direct report here at the church.
It's Tyler's boss.
Yeah, and so, but this is like, at first, when I joined, I was like, man, my direct report, I'm about to be in group with him, and which means he's gonna know a lot about Tyler. And so, but I told, man, and me and my wife, we talk about this often. It's like, I don't want to be, and we don't want to be people with secrets. And so if this means that Brian is going to help me become a type of person where it's like, hey, it doesn't matter if it's work related, right? Like family related or just junk that Tyler is dealing with. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've like, hey, Brian, can I just share my heart and just kind of share what's going on in my brain right now because I don't like it. And I know I need to exercise getting this out, okay? And so Brian has been an awesome addition to my life. So I first off just want to honor you and thank you for that. And so thank you for all of the times where I can just throw up on you, Brian. And so, but enough about that. But maybe share about because you grew up Catholic, right? And so you haven't always been in a setting like this. Maybe share about maybe some of your story, and maybe you haven't always been in full-time ministry. And so maybe just share a little bit about that and how you got here and how community has shaped and formed you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I grew up in Ohio, and I grew up in church. And what I mean by growing up in church is we would go on either Saturday night or Friday or Sunday morning, you know, that sort of thing. And I would do my absolute best to sit in the back and leave after communion and all the kind of stuff like that, the bare minimum, more or less because I was trying to be honoring to my parents. But I'm grateful for that time because, one, it introduced me to Jesus, so I believed, and that was important. I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. We talk about that, right? Does that make sense? And that's accessible to us, and that's what we're in pursuit of. And I didn't know that then, but I had a head knowledge of, and that laid a foundation for a lot of things that came about later. And so I was one of those statistics of like, okay, I'm going to college, and I really didn't. It was hit and miss when it was convenient, that sort of thing. And then met my wife, and she grew up in church too, and we were kind of like, hey, we're getting back. You know, we want to get back into church. We moved to Tennessee, and we're looking for churches and whatnot. I went to school for exercise science, which I wouldn't recommend. But it's so I started there, and then that ended up going into like working in manufacturing stuff, and that was working on the weekends, so I didn't really have a chance to go to church a whole lot, and I felt that. And so there was a season of my life where I was really looking for that, and the way that my life, I wasn't in a position to prioritize appropriately, right? Anyone ever feel stuck in what you're doing. And so like that was it. And I'm grateful that we found GC in 2019 when they had Saturday night experiences, and that made some things available to us. But it was interesting because we had this realization, and thank you, Lord, for that. Like what a grace that we should be in church. Like that's important. It's important if we want to start a family. It's important. It's important. It's important for us. Like that sort of thing. It's important for our marriage. And so we had this appetite for it, and the Lord shows up when the appetite, like there's such a cool moment there. He is the provider, and he provided. And so part of that was also, once we got here, we kind of, my wife and I had a really cool moment for guys in the room. Like we, if you find yourself in this position at some point, this is probably far ahead, but the first step I took in leading my family was following my wife. And that's a strong move, okay? So if you find yourself there. But so I followed her like, hey, she's like learn in her Bible. Maybe I should be in my Bible, like that sort of thing. But when we came here, we kind of decided that whatever was said from this man or anyone else who was up here, Pastor Brandon, whatever was recommended, whatever is said from the stage, we were going to say yes and figure it out. Like that was the deal. And so that was interesting because I am as happy as can be if I'm in the back corner of the room, no one knows that I'm there, and I'm just fine. Like I'm great. This is nerve-wracking, like that sort of thing. And so getting in the community when that's recommended, that's an interesting thing to do because intellectually I know that. Perhaps I was taught early on that you can tell where you are going to be in life by the books you read and the people you hang around. Mm. I didn't read a lot of books, so I really had to work on the who I was hanging around. And that made sense, except it was terrifying. It was terrifying. And so in 2021, I started going to a group on Tuesday night. I'm not sure if I talked for like the first 2 months. We had a men's retreat. Interesting how the Lord aligns things. Men's retreat, the small group that we had there was led by this guy. And then the Lord decided to put me in the same group as Pastor Brandon. Interesting how that kind of worked out, right? But I started seeing the value in community, and I started understanding, like I was at a point where I knew what it felt like before having community and after having community. And community wasn't perfect, but here's the thing, like if there's something like I pray that you would hear is like showing up is really important.
That's good.
Like just show up. If you don't feel like it, good news, that's not a prerequisite. You just show up. And when you continue to show up and you make yourself available to certain things, certain opportunities and relationships happen. Like I've never, it landed the same way as I've never regretted the workout I completed. Even when I didn't feel like doing it, afterwards you're like, you know what, I'm glad I did that. You go to group, like, okay, I'm glad I did that. Because the interesting thing is when you make a decision not to go to a group, or you make a decision to go and be around people that perhaps you shouldn't be around, you're casting a vote for who you want to become, like in doing that. And so if I could encourage anyone in the room, it's like, look at who you are becoming around, because if you hang around 5 people who do something, you're going to be the 6th.
Wow.
You're going to be the 6th. And so I think it's so cool. I think it's so cool that you all are here and you're as attentive as you are right now. Because if you could learn, if I could learn this, if I could learn what I learned at 34, where you all are, like you all are so far ahead. And that's so encouraging to me. But I think it's just show up in this know that who you hang around matters, and what they are pursuing matters, and what they do matters. Like it's not a things aren't neutral. It's casting a vote for something. And so you get to decide what you want it to cast a vote for. You have an element of agency or control with that. And so I took that seriously. And so a part of it was really funny. Pastor Brandon asked us to be part of this group, and like Kyle and probably everybody up here at some point, we would just like stare at each other and be like, how did we get here? I have no business being here. I have no business being here. But here we are. And so that's a consequence of just showing up and just showing up and just showing up and just showing up. And when it's hard and things and people let you down, you continue to show up and you continue to show up and you continue to show up. And what happens is as you continue to show up, you look left and right and you find out, hey, you continue to show up too. That's interesting. And then you continue to show up and you continue to show up. And then you look again, you're like, you're still here too. Maybe we should get to know each other a little bit. And then you start learning that the intensity of pursuit of what it is that you're also pursuing, like what you're going after and how hard you're going after it, someone else is doing that too. And maybe then you can start connecting with that person, and you're not just randomly picking people to hang out with. Now I'm intentionally finding people to hang out with. And then 2 years later, 3 years later, you have a group of people who you're closer with than just about anyone I know. I don't know if that answered your question, good
This
sir.
is awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all get it for Brian. I love how he talked about just continuing to show up. And we hit on this a little bit a couple weeks ago about like maybe the thing that you need to just consistently show up to is Sunday mornings, is Wednesday night, is participating in your community group post the sermon, right? So maybe that's you. Maybe it's like, you know what? I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to be present in my group on Wednesday nights. I'm going to contribute to that. And pray through what Brian followed up with that. Like, hey, you continue to show up. You're still here. Maybe we should form something. And so, Pastor Brandon, I want to come back to you, man. Maybe talk about what that could possibly look like of like, hey, man, I find myself faithful on a Sunday morning. I'm actually a part of a serve team. I'm consistent on Wednesday nights. I show up to my group. Maybe talk about a few things that they could do but I want more. I want what they're talking about. I might not could drive. Like I have some limitations that I'm dealing with right now. But what are a few things that I could do in the season that I'm in right now?
No, man. Yeah, a couple of 5 things.
Couple of 5 things.
One, I think that what I would tell you about every guy that's up here that's got through talking about the story, this is so important for you guys to get. If your goal is to find friendship, you have the wrong goal. Mm. Because there are a lot of people who go to church that have friends, but they're not being formed into the image of Christ.
Good.
When we formed this formation group, it wasn't like, man, we need buddies. It was, I was looking for dudes who wanted to go hard after Jesus. That's what I wanted. In the process, you find friendship. In the process, you find brotherhood. Because I had a ton of friends. But what I was missing in my life, man, I was hungry for people who just like, man, they want to sit, that's all they want to do is talk about Jesus, talk about their faith, talk about what's going on in their life, talk about how we're going to grow in Christ. All the other stuff is bonus, and it comes with it. I would say like the end goal should be Jesus. Because I've seen people form friends in church, and you guys talk each other out of being in church.
Wow.
So going to church, I've told my daughters that. Like, they'll be like, hey, this guy, he likes me, and he goes to church. I'm like, I don't give a rip. I've seen the dudes that come to our church sometimes. They don't be worshiping Jesus. They worshiping like this with their hand next to their girlfriend the whole time. I'm like, I know what y'all be doing. I'm not dumb. So I try to teach them, man, don't just be looking for church people. Look for Jesus people.
That's good, man.
There's
Come
a
on,
difference.
dude. Let's go.
It's a difference. Number 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. We got time.
I would say this, man. I love what the Apostle Paul tells the elders of the church and how they should be pouring into the younger in the church. And I want you guys to get this because it's so important. If you haven't taken a note tonight, you need to write these 3 things down. He tells them 3 things that they need to be doing. That is to encourage, comfort, and urge. The problem is you will only look for a one-dimensional mentor. If I only comfort you, you will be weak. And you will never be an overcomer in your life. Are y'all getting this? If I only encourage you, you will never be fully authentic because you will only hear what good things people have to say about you. And if I only urge you, you will fall under the pressure of feeling constrained to, I have to do this. But if I look for all 3 in my relationships and my friendships, that means I want somebody who's going to encourage me when I need it, who's going to comfort me when I'm hurting, but also who's going to urge me when I'm starting to slack off and not be responsible. In other words, somebody's going to hold me accountable. I want somebody who's going to pull me up by my shirt collar and say, yo, bro, you are acting like a fool. The problem is most of you will reject that kind of counsel in your life because you see it as abusive instead of as instructive. Good. And when you rebuke instruction in your life, I need everybody to hear me when I say this. When you rebuke instruction, you will follow the pathway of a fool, and you will carry your set of friends to hell with you.
Wow.
And so you need to understand, I need people who will be all 3. It's okay to have a one-dimensional friend, but just know if I need urging, I'm not going to the person who only wants to tell me the good things about my life. I just want you to know if you only have people that are going to affirm every decision you make, they're also fake because they're hanging out with you because you're that kind of person to them too.
Wow. Come on, dude.
That's 2.
Come on.
3 out of 5, be what you want.
Yeah.
Be what you want. You cannot have high expectations for the people around you when you have low follow through in your own life. And so, like, man, if I'm wanting a relationship with Christ, if I'm wanting deeper friendship, I have to be that friend. The Bible says this in the book of Proverbs. It says, if you want friends, show yourself friendly. I've seen so many of y'all be like, nobody wants to be my friend. Probably because you over in the corner look like a dragon, like you're about to attack somebody. Like, no, you're not approachable. If you have Jesus living inside of you, you should be one of the most approachable people in the building.
That's good.
The Holy Spirit lives in you. And the Holy Spirit's not some sullen, angry, over here like, everybody hates me, I hate everybody. That's not the Holy Spirit. You're being led by your flesh.
Come on, man.
Because not everybody's going to love you or accept you. Get over that.
Yeah.
Just know that there are people who don't love and accept me. And I have to understand, like, that's not who I need to be my friend then. Y'all want to be friends with the world and enemies with God. If you want to find a few friends that want to be friends with God, you're going to find it. But if you want to be friends with the world, you're going to be miserable because you're always going to dictate how you feel based off of how everybody thinks about you.
Come on.
And it does not matter. Tomorrow, if one of the worst tragedies hit my life, I have enough. I got enough. I got Jesus and my 8 or 9. And I got more people than that, but I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of community I've built. You need a 3 a.m. friend. And what I mean by that is, like, when something happens, I'm not talking about hang out till 3 a.m. Some of y'all, I got 3 a.m. friend. No, none of them are wrong friends. I'm talking about if something happened in your life and you had to call somebody at 3 a.m., you have a 3 a.m., you need my dog just died friend. In other words, somebody who would show up for a seemingly small, or it might not be small to you, but to other people it would seem small, but they would go out of their way to show up for a small moment in your life. And you need to find your 8. And those are the people that not only carry you through life, but you want to find the 8 that will carry you in your death. because you need those type of people who are going to be there in your life. Right now, like my kids know these guys. My son looks forward to my group coming over because he knows he gets to hang out with all the knuckleheads, right? Like, and so like he knows, man, these are the guys that my dad loves, but these guys love them too. Josh's son, Sunday night after Vision Rally, he's like, I'm ready to be baptized,
Come
right?
on, man.
You know what? Our kids are growing up together. They're going to be right there at that tank watching their best friend get baptized. And that's because of the community we've built. It was cool. My kid's in 5th grade, and he come home Sunday night, and he's like, man, me and Easton just spent time praying over each other Sunday night, you know. And I'm like, dude, that's the kind of community I want my kids to have too. This ain't even just about you.
Yeah.
It's about the future you. And so the decisions you're making now is cultivating the kind of person you're going to become. I will tell you too, steward whatever relationship is in your life well. Is this 4? Steward whatever relationship is in your life well. In other words, listen, if friends are for a season, who's in your life for this season that you're not taking advantage of? I want you to know right now, you senior boys, like junior boys, like we're hanging out a little bit later, but like, when's the last time you said, hey, will you guys go have coffee with me? Will you guys meet me up for breakfast? Hey, can I come to like just one of your groups just to see how you guys do things? Like you will go through life going, nobody poured into me, but the problem is the glass of water has been on the table the whole time and you refuse to drink.
Wow.
You got small group leaders that care about you. You got people, man, that will pour out their time every single week and you've not asked them for one moment in your life. Talking about nobody's there for me. And these people have offered. My daughter, who's a sophomore in high school, has a group leader that will take her out to dinner once a month every single Wednesday before church. And that's something I'm grateful that she has that in her life. And there are other group leaders who are willing to do that. You just have to ask. Because you never know when like 10 years from now, you're going to be like, man, I wish I would have leaned into Chase a little more. I wish I would have leaned into Nathan just a little bit more, man. Whenever he spoke, man, I just remember I need that advice in my life. And so guess what? If it is a season that you're here, it is a season that these people are your group leaders, man, soak every ounce of it up. Do not forsake it because there'll be a day when you wish you had what you had, but you took it for granted because you came here focused on everybody else. Actually came here focused more on yourself than focusing on Jesus. So I told you had 5. That's 4. God bless you.
Woo! Come on. That's so good. That's so good. I want to talk about one thing that we do that I wasn't aware of and I did not practice until this group. We talked a lot about accountability. And so what we get to do, man, a few times a year, we just did this a few months ago. We went camping. It was just us dudes hanging out, but it wasn't just hanging out. Like, we had a really good time, all right? But there's always this time that comes up, and it's called Faster, all right? And I would love, Pastor Brandon, would you kind of walk through that acronym? Because this, and you, get your notebook back out. You've probably been writing a lot. This is why he's here, right? No, this is so good. There's this acronym that we walk through. And look, I want you to know this. We know going into this trip of like, hey, we're about to walk through this acronym. And so, Pastor Brandon, if you wouldn't mind, walk through that and kind of share about why we do that as well.
Yeah, we call them soul check-ins.
Yeah.
So it's just like, man, let's check in how you're doing in your soul. And so the F stands for forgetting priorities. So like, is your life right now, do you feel like, man, I just keep forgetting the most important things in my life? How are you doing with your priorities? The A stands for anxious. Are you overly anxious right now? Like, what's your anxiety level? The S stands for sped up life. So do you feel like your life is just in chaos? Like you don't have time for the important things because your life is just busy, 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 busy. T stands for ticked off. Like, do you find yourself getting easily agitated, easily angry, all those things? The E stands for exhausting. That could be physically exhausted. It could be emotionally exhausted. But are you exhausted right now? And then the R stands for relapse. And relapse means that if all the other areas that we just talked about are unhealthy, you will relapse into sinful or unwelcome behaviors that you're trying to overcome, but you keep falling back into it. And normally when you're going, why do I keep running to this sin? Why do I keep looking at this thing? Why do I keep doing this? It's normally because those other ones are out of whack. And so that gives us an opportunity to pray with them, talk about like, hey, what's the root of this? What's causing your life to be sped up? What's causing you to be easily angered? And so we do that about once every 6 weeks or so. It's just called soul check-ins. And that's just an acronym to help us gauge how's your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And so, yeah.
No, that's so good.
Tyler, can I interject for just a
Absolutely,
second?
bro.
Like one of the biggest, like you can have this acronym, right? And you can know it, you can memorize it. But one of the a vital part of that is allowing yourself to be honest with the people in this group. Mm-hmm. Like 100%, like, because if you're holding back when you're doing this acronym, like when you're going through this, like you're not doing anybody any good. Like there's nothing that is helping your soul in those moments. So like getting a group of people that you are honest with, that's tough. Yeah. Especially if you've been hurt by people when you've been honest, that's hard. But if for this to work, for these soul check-ins to work, we have to be 100% our authentic selves, our honest selves in these moments, and that's hard because I have to look these men in the eye and be honest about what I'm struggling with. Or I like if it's on the phone, if one of these guys is calling me on the phone, I know like, hey, I'm about to have to be honest with him. So that's one level of accountability, but also like, I mean, you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable in those moments. And so, sorry, I didn't mean to
no, you're good,
jump in there, but like,
no, that's
that's
good.
I got one
vital.
more thing too. I got one more thing to interject with is
This
is five. No, I'm just kidding.
By the way, we're probably not going to small group. Continue. Or
no, we are. No, I'm just kidding.
go keep
but so, like Brandon said, we do it every 6 weeks. But there's been times like I've said something, and one of these guys are like, "Wait, why are we just now figuring out about this?"
Wow, that's
like
good,
you don't have to do a soul checkup every scheduled 6 weeks.
Yes.
Like you can do a soul checkup every day. These guys, I talk to these guys often, not just on Saturday mornings, not just when we do our soul checkups. Like I call these guys with, "I need help," or "I gotta confess this," because that's what they're here for. But also, to piggyback off what you said, like they're not here to call me and be like, all right, what sin are you doing? Like I have to call them to hold myself accountable, and then they're going to help me hold myself accountable.
No, that's really good. This has been so good. I want to share some stuff from my perspective, if that's okay, just for a little bit. Lindsay, are you in? Is Lindsay? Okay, could someone snag her real quick? Because there's a picture on her phone that I would love. Okay, there's a picture that you took a few years ago at my kitchen table when I was going through a rough time. It's me and my mom. You remember? It's at my kitchen table. I really need you to help me find this. It's like 3 years ago when I was walking through a lot, or earlier on in the student ministry. And it's a really, really vulnerable picture of my feelings. You know what I'm talking about? How about this? Hold on. Say something cool.
I can add something real quick.
Hey, you go, Kyle.
You can, I guess you can take my spot.
I want to encourage y'all. Like I've been on I live in White House. Don't hold that against me, but I live in White House, so I usually drive 20 minutes to and from here to Brandon's house or Josh's house or top of the ridge, wherever we meet. And there's been so many mornings where I'm driving and it's just like my flesh is like battling the spirit, literally, because I know there's something I need to share. I really don't want to. And I want to say this out loud because y'all are really quick to share something on Snapchat. Y'all are really quick to share something on your Instagram story. But like most of y'all aren't willing to sit around a group of boys and like share your soul. And there's times where I have to talk myself into saying it out loud, but there's never been once that I've left regretting sharing what I'm feeling, sharing my heart. So I just want to encourage you, like, Snapchat is not community. Instagram is not community. Like a group like this is true community. A group like you boys have formed or are forming. It might not be a true formation group, but what y'all are doing is real. What y'all share and do in your hallways is real. So yeah, I just encourage you, like whatever your flesh is telling you not to share, that's probably what you need to share. So
I have something else that's been poking out this whole conversation. Is like you've been in the group, y'all, I guess all y'all but me have been in the group for 3 years, 2 years. But okay. But like it's taken years to build this group and to build these relationships. And I've only been in for 10 months, but like I've shown up every Saturday ready to be more vulnerable and ready to grow with them a little bit more. You're not going to build a group like this in a week. Like it takes time and it takes effort to do this. And that's all I wanted to share.
Yeah, so something, I mean, we have been, the four of us and Brandon, like we've been in this formation group for coming up on 3 years now. Something that was really challenging for me coming out of the gate, like starting out of the gate, was some of the practices. Because I'm a really slow reader and processor. Like I have to read something and soak in it to process. Whereas some of the guys in the group, like they're really quick to pick things up. And one of the things that I started doing was like, I was battling this comparison thing in my head, like comparing my discipleship and my formation to the other guys in the group. And again, Brian and I had like a really honest conversation because like I struggled with that. I'm like, man, I do not feel like I fit in. I feel like I'm like the dumbest one of the group because I'm a slow reader, slow processor. I'm not picking it up. I can't memorize scripture like they can. And so I really struggled with it. But like my formation is mine. Brian's formation is his. Brandon's formation is his. Like we're all striving toward the same goal. Like we all have different strengths, and we do process the world and what's going on around us differently. So do not let yourself be in that comparison game. Tyler, did you get it figured out, bud? Okay. Yeah, the comparison game, guys. Like I know, like you live in the world of social media. Like that is nothing but a facade, and it's smoke and mirrors. Like, don't start comparing your discipleship or your formation because it will frustrate you and it will discourage you. Just remember, like, there's an end goal to this, and it's to look more like Jesus. It's not to look more like Jesus how Brian does or how Brandon does. It's to look more like Jesus. So,
that's okay. Well, I would use this one. So, we're going to close with this, all right? So we got a few more minutes, and I just want to share a little bit about, I have not always had this, all right? I have not always had this while being your youth pastor, okay? And so what that came with, even when I knew better, maybe some of these guys, I've never shown this picture to anybody, and so, but for some reason over the past several weeks, this picture has kept coming to my mind. And I was like, and the Lord has been telling me, hey, there's going to come a time where you're going to share this picture. And tonight just so happens to be the night. And thank you so much, Lindsay and Nathan, for getting this together for me, okay? So because what I want to, and I want you to just hear my heart, because you can have everything in the world around you going great, and your soul is suffering, okay? You are suffering. Everything could be going, you be getting straight A's, man. Everything could be going just phenomenal. But man, it is actually not well with my soul. Unlike the song that we sing, because sometimes we sing that song, "It Is Well With My Soul," and it's really not, and you're lying to yourself, okay? And so I just want to be, Pastor Tyler, right? I know some of you look at us up here and all these things, it's like, well, this is easy for you, but like, if real talk, hey, I have my own struggles. And there was a time earlier on, and I came on as a youth pastor, it was like, the student ministry was booming. I mean, there were times where we would have 300 students here. I mean, there was one night that, man, we had over like 40-something baptisms that happened in one night. It was absolutely incredible, incredible. But man, there were things that were said about me, all right, that hurt me. There were things that people were spreading amongst the team that was hurting me very, very badly, to the point that we would pull up sometimes on a Wednesday night, and I would look at Lindsay and say, I just want to go home. I don't even want to walk in there. Nobody in there likes me. Nobody in there cares about what I'm having to say. It didn't matter if there were 300 kids in the room. It didn't matter. All of that, it was very, very difficult for me to celebrate that. And because I did not have community, I did not have the people in my life that Pastor Brandon just described. All three of those things are very, very, very important. But what I did have a lot of people who used to cheer me on, and they also kicked me too afterwards. They stabbed me in the back. The very people I thought, so I had trust issues, honestly, kind of going into this thing of like, you know what? These people said they were for me. These people said that they cannot wait to do this with me. And they were the first ones to leave when times got hard. And then they trash talked me on their way out of here too. And I just want to show you, Nathan, I don't know if you got the green light. All right, here's a picture of me one night after a Wednesday night experience, going home with my hands on my head, talking to my mother, because I was the only person outside of Lindsay that I had to talk to or I felt safe around. And what I want for you and what we desire for you is to not go home like that. That was a tough season of my life where I felt like I had nobody when I had everybody around me, but I was not listening. Everything was going right. Record numbers, record attendance, church history, Tyler. But it was not well with my soul. I was struggling, y'all, and it was because I did not have what we are talking about tonight. And I know we've talked for a long time, but this is how important it is, because I've been there. When everything's been going great, everything seemed fine on the outside, but I was in a dark place. And so I always wanted to close with that, okay? That just came to my mind, and I wanted to just be transparent because we are not perfect. I have not always gotten it right. But I want to show you what not having this in your life will lead you to. It will. It doesn't matter if you're if you're on staff at a church. It doesn't matter if you work at the grocery store. It doesn't matter. If you don't put these things into practice and seek out this Jesus-centered community, you will end up like this. You will end up like me, and I don't want that for you.